Hi, I'm your host, Rick Sessinghouse, and excited to launch Flow Golf Podcast. Each episode, we will share stories, interview experts, and share cutting-edge strategies for peak performance. Here's my co-host, Hallam Morgan, to explain more about Flow Code Golf.
Thanks, Rick. Flow Code Golf is a framework of strategies, principles, and techniques that take us from fear to the state of flow, the state of optimal performance, and the zone where we play our best golf. You can find out more about Flow Code Golf at www.flowcode.golf. And I just want to finish up by saying this podcast is as much your podcast as it is ours. So please ask questions, provide feedback, and get engaged. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Welcome back, listeners, to the Flow Golf Podcast. Rick, we have a slightly different one today. So I'm super excited that we will be introducing two new members of the Flow Code Golf Academy Junior section, Ted and also Josh. Really excited with all of that. Of course, the Flow Golf Podcast, we've covered so many different topics over the last few months. We've covered so many things from competitiveness all the way to confidence and so many in between. But today, I really want to introduce the new members of Flow Code Golf Academy Junior section. We're launching some new products for ages 12 to 18 and also some others in the future, but really want to dive in first by just bringing these guys on board. So Josh, start off with yourself. I would love for you just to introduce yourself to all of our listeners, explain a bit about your background and obviously your role in the Flow Code Golf Academy Junior section.
Yeah, Hallam, thank you so much. So listeners out there, my name is Josh Alpert. I'm a PGA golf professional. I live in the Southern California area, have been teaching in the South Bay here for 20 something years. I currently have a Good Swings Happen Junior Golf Academy. I run a lot of my youth academy classes out of that format. I'm fortunate to have an indoor facility that I do training with, Precision Golf Centers. I have a local 9-hole golf course that we take kids out on the golf course and run youth camps and various things. Sort of in the macro sense of it, positive relationships with the courses around the area. Developing those in a larger sense, giving us access to getting kids out on the golf course. Through 20 something years, a strong relationship with our community to be able to develop players. As a kid, I was baseball, basketball, actually. I played golf with my grandfather growing up, started with a love of the game. I'm playing with him and trying to make him proud, hitting cool golf shots. But my competitive juices were with baseball and basketball and played into college in those forums. Always knew I loved teaching, always knew I wanted to work with kids, thought maybe PE teacher once upon a time ago. And my baseball aspirations fizzled one day as they will with shoulders and people being bigger, stronger, and faster, if I may be honest. And I fell in love with golf and I went down this road of seeing how good of a player I could become while at the same time coaching and starting into those paths. I started at a small facility, the Lakes at El Segundo in Southern California, and literally year by year went from teaching individual students and players of all ages, which I still do, but really merging into this focus of supporting youth to be better golfers. And in the evolution of all of that, and especially as a competitive player who went through my own challenges of, trying to be elite physically and mentally, Rick and I have had a relationship now for a long time, and the developing of the player physically and how do you help them do all of the technical elements is certainly a piece that we all know about. But the reality is that a whole rounded player who can think and critically observe and be in emotional control of their game and all that goes into both sides of it is something that has really fascinated me. And as I've grown and developed, I've realized that how I can most serve and help is through developing players both mentally and physically, and parents alike as it's transformed. So I sit here at this point, never more excited as a coach to be able to participate in with you guys here, and as we'll talk about, full rounded coach, ready to help players become better golfers and better people. And that's literally where my evolution has led to today. So super excited.
Wow, love it, Josh. Love it. Thank you so much for sharing. And I mean, there's so many things there that we can dive into, and we will later on in the podcast dive into your beliefs around junior development, some of the things you've learned over those huge experiences you've had, and all that work that you've done, that incredible stuff you've done. So I appreciate that, Josh. Before we go back to that, and we'll open up some conversation. I know Rick's probably sitting there eager to open up some topics and ask some questions, but just want to jump to Ted, and Ted, just for you to introduce yourself, your background, some of the work that you've done, and why you're a part of Flowcode Golf Academy junior section.
Sure. Well, first off, I wish I would have gone first, because to follow Josh and what he just did, this guy is like a man of words. I mean, the way he articulates and put things together is like, I should have gone first, Josh. No, it's great. Well, first off, I've known Josh and Rick for a long time. And let me just tell the audience that there are, no better two people than Rick and Josh, with their moral compass, with their motivation, with their, care and love for people, for doing the right thing. So this is an honor to be part of the Flowcode, Golf Academy. This is awesome. And, we just met earlier, and if you're associated with these two, I'm going to say you're a great guy too.
Don't make any assumptions. Give it a little bit longer.
But, so in brief, I have been involved in golf, fortunately, my whole life. I was introduced to it by my dad and fell in love with it because I think probably I got to spend time with my dad. And then he evolved from there, and he knew that I had something, there was a hook that I had for golf, and whether it was competition or love or challenge, all those buzzwords that Rick uses in his Flowcode, those were all attracted to me. And my dad saw that. And I think that's one of the things that I'd like to get into later on, is the influences that you have and the mentors that you have that can help facilitate, your love and passion for the game. But anyway, my dad saw that. And then he nurtured it. He got me lessons, and I got lessons with Mr. Marins, as Josh and Rick know, who was the head pro at Bel Air for a long time, and was kind of a Harvey Pinnock type of person. And so my dad, attached me to Mr. Marins and nurtured my game that way. And I was fortunate enough to love the game, work hard at the game, and earn a golf scholarship to play at UCLA. So I was a college golfer. And maybe we can get into some of that, because it wasn't all roses. I went through a lot of struggle. I know Rick went through some of that as well, and we related a lot because of our similar stories. But anyway, I played college golf, and it culminated into just a wonderful experience for me. It was really life-changing. And that's when I first tapped into the mental game and how important mindset is, and how important reframing things are in your success. And I think reframing is a word that I'd love to tap into later on. But in any case, played college golf. Then I played professional golf, played in South America. I played in Asia. I tried the Q school. Unfortunately, I didn't have Rick by my side to lead me to a major championship. Maybe that was the reason, but nonetheless, I didn't make a living playing golf, but I make a living because of golf now and my involvement in the game. And I do deem that a success. That's my own reframing story, quite frankly. But after I played competitive golf, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. 28 years old. And I kept reflecting back to my experience at UCLA. And it was traumatic, quite frankly. And it was a very low point that ended up making me go beyond what I thought I could do. And again, it was all because of the mental aspect. So I said, you know what, I want to help kids. I want to help kids go through this time, this very impactful, challenging time of their life. And I want to get into coaching. So I got into college coaching after I stopped playing competitively, and I coached at SMU and USC. So I was a Division I assistant coach or head coach for 7 years, which was awesome. But I had a young family, and I felt like, there's those coaches, I tell you, they make such sacrifices in their life. And I just felt like I wanted to try to find something where I could spend a little bit more time with my family, but also be involved in the game. Hence what I do now. It's Road to College Golf. So I've been doing that as of July 1st, 16 years. And I mentor, advise, counsel, shepherd these families and junior golfers navigate junior golf, and ultimately help them try to find their best fit. And it's a joy. I get to be involved in the game, get to be involved with people like, Rick and Josh, and now you, him. And it's just awesome. And I'm just thankful that now all these experiences, I've always felt like I've been in the flow. I didn't know that's what it was called, but I love the flow terminology because that was a huge part, again, of me getting through and working through my toughest challenge, and now being able to share that in a more formal way with the Flow Code Academy, with my clients and other juniors and golfers around the world. So I'm super pumped. So thank you.
Wonderful.
And now you know why I went first.
So, I mean, it is being in the golf industry my whole life. It's a very, in a way, small community, and we get to know each other, and we get to know who are the best of the best. And I think with Flow Code, we, Hallam and I, always want to bring the best of the best. And we now have two of the best in junior development and coaching. And, with Josh, which I want to talk a little bit more about how he views development and coaching with youth and juniors. And with Ted, I've had tremendous respect to be able to take him as a player, him as a D1 coach. And then the key word that we keep hearing a lot is development, right? And I think juniors get hooked up into short-term fixes instead of long-term development. And we see this as trends of these junior golfers changing coaches really quickly because it's whoever the flavor of the month is as far as a golf coach is. And it's unfortunately revolved around physical skills. Hey, I need to have this golf swing look a certain way because that'll make me shoot lower scores. All of us here know the importance of the physical skills. Of course we do. We know that the mechanics of it, we know, but all of us have seen, I don't care if it's at the age of 6 all the way to the age of 22, is that the development is going to come more from the mental, emotional state that someone's in. And holy smokes, going from 8 to 22, there's a lot of stuff going on. And I want to talk real quick, Ted, you mentioned mentorships, and I think having a role model and such, I think, is crucial along the way. I've been very, very fortunate to work with some very, very high level juniors who then get to college, and then some turn pro. And then obviously with Colin's success, you see him get to the highest of levels. And, I believe I'm a very good coach, don't get me wrong, but I think those long-term relationships was about helping people and juniors go through these different paths and ups and downs, and how to deal with parents, and how to deal with recruiting and college coaches watching, and the pressures of rankings and all this stuff that really has nothing to do with hitting the next golf shot, yet can create stress and create an interference with the junior golfer. So Ted, can you tell me a little bit more about how you look at mentorship and role models in that development?
Yeah, that's a great topic. I think that first of all, I have been so blessed to starting with my parents to show me what does unconditional love mean? What does unconditional support mean? And I really think that is the foundation of a true mentor, is somebody that is the student knows they're not going to be judged by this person based on, Rick, what you just said, which is score. And what's the first thing everybody asks you when you come off the course? What'd you shoot? So it's so easy for an individual to be locked in, and I speak from experience, with their self-esteem is tied to their score. So the mentor, to get to your point, that what I was blessed to have is my parents saying, listen, what are your controllables? Your attitude, your body language. Rick, I always remember being in seminars with you, and you walk around like, what's Tiger Woods look like? It's like, it's true. It's like his body language and his attitude, and so anyways, having mentors and people that can show you the right way, understand that, what, it's okay to struggle. It's okay to quote fail. It's okay to get uncomfortable, because that is the time when you're going to grow. And so mentors and influences and people that have that awareness to be able to articulate that to others, to be able to say, you pick up a phone to a client, and they're like, gosh, such a bad tournament. I shot 78, 80. And Rick, I give you credit for this. I ask all my clients, I said, what'd you do well? And what'd you learn? And you taught me that. I mean, and I stole that from you because I think it's great. It's a very simple question. So the point of having mentors is people that really, to me, get the bigger picture, but they can slow things down in the moment and give you really practical, pragmatic ways to look at things. And I mentioned the word reframe it. To me, mentors can help you reframe things to keep going. And I think that's what I'll end in, is that the message I got from all the people that I felt I looked up to was, keep going, Ted. Keep going. Through the ebbs and flows, through the highs and lows, through the great tournaments, just keep going, keep learning, keep growing, keep being open to that. And to me, that's what a mentor means to me personally, because I had that in my life. And fortunately, that helped me keep going at a time when I wasn't going to keep going.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Flow Golf Podcast. Whether you're a coach or a golfer, we have something for everyone at Flow Code Golf Academy. I'm so excited to announce that Rick Sessinghaus has launched 2 new masterclasses that you can access for free. One for a coach on how to grow your coaching business, and another for golfers on how to master your mental game. To gain free access, you just need to head to www.flowcode.golf/masterclasses. We look forward to welcoming you to the Flow Code family.
No, I love that, because I think when we look at most junior golfers, and again, I am using this as that, who we usually work with is competitive juniors, everything serious, oh my gosh, ranking points. Yet we must not lose sight that golf is to be played and to be enjoyed and to have fun. And that's something where, I have the most respect for Josh, in that I've seen you, Josh, coach youth at all these ages, and you bring I think you're one of the ultimate mentors. You link golf with fun and enjoyment and learning and challenge, and I've never seen anybody do it better in that. So Josh, and I know you take this role extremely seriously as a mentor, as an advocate for golf. Tell me a little bit about that, because again, I've seen you in real time go, oh my gosh, he's got the attention of these 40 kids, and they're having so much fun. And you now help them have a link to golf that is not all about score and all that stuff. And that's something I really appreciate with what you do.
Yeah. Maybe it's blessing, curse, if you will. I am 5 years old in a part of who I am, and that's always stuck. Maybe 5, 7, 8, 12, hopefully in the better aspects of those things. But yeah, and from a philosophical standpoint, it's funny as we've done these things, and I've known, except for Hallam, you are of the same ilk, my brother. So I'm again very, very happy to be joined with you here at the hip. That I have always started the instruction side of things, or the coaching and the learning side of things, from a place of golf is a game meant to be played having fun, and that it is a fun thing that we do. And when I listen to the mentors that I've had in my life, and I look at the most successful people that I've coached, that I've watched on television, that I've watched in whatever, the word passion and being passionate about what you do seems to resonate across the board for those who are the most successful, those that love what they do. I love what I do. I love coaching. I love working with people. I love watching them get better as players. I love watching them get better at people. When they're not getting better, I care. I take that home with me. I want to figure out how can I help them. But at the end of the day, what it really, really does become about, it's how we offer it. And I would offer the younger programs, because it seems so logical, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, in ways that were fun. That's just always the way that I would have done it. Here's a game. How do we play it? Let's play for ice cream. Let's go high score. Let's go low score. Let's do team names. And then what sort of organically ends up happening when you do those things in all facets, individual, small group, camps, classes, teams, is that you watch people come together and they bond, and we all work together, and we motivate each other to be a part of something that's larger than winning and losing. It's about having fun in park and rec, outdoor space, enjoying ourselves with rocks and stones and balls and bats and these kinds of things. And it doesn't have to be more than that. And maybe, you know, I grew up in a different era, but my mom would say, don't you dare come home after dark, and don't you dare come home before dark, or wherever that line is, that, you know, like, you better be home for dinner and you better not be home after dark, but you better not be home before that. We just played. That's what we did. We created games and we found our way through those things. And I know in my core that I got better at everything that I ever did because I was having fun playing whatever we were playing, and I was trying to figure out a way to get better at it. And I think a big transformation for me as a coach, and it's going to continue to evolve forever, is I sort of believed that fun thing was something we only did with little kids, and that we stopped at a certain point because it's not appropriate to keep having fun because, my God, we need to train these people to be elite. And it's bull. It's bull. Right. That if we can not, it's not that we don't want to train in elite ways and use the best techniques. And yes, here we are blessed with, you know, Rick as our leader in the mental space with this incredible platform of information that's going to help. Like, the material is legit, but the people who are presenting it understand that if you, the customer, can go out there and have fun and bust your butt and do your best and try to achieve the greatest things you possibly can. And if you don't, and this is back to like what you said, Tara, from a care standpoint, it's okay. I don't love you as a student because of the medal around your neck. I much prefer the person who is just like, Mom, please, can we not leave? I need to try that game again. I couldn't. I'm like, hey, we'll see you next week. Just do that, and mysteriously everybody gets better. And that's the thing that I think that I've taken away is I've watched some kids who and again, I hate to, I'm not going to say any names here because someone's going to smack me over the back of the head. There's some kids that I've started working with who are like, there's just not a lot of talent there, respectfully. And we still have fun and we develop relationships and we do all these things. And the parent emails me and says, Josh, my son is having so much fun at your program. Thank you so much. They just don't connect with things. And I'm like, I'm so happy your son's having a good time. And because they've loved it, I watch those kids become something far greater as a golfer than I would have ever predicted because they enjoyed what they were doing. And that profoundly, I think, has struck me as an instructor is if we can just offer it in ways that are educational, sound in technical, sound in all of these things, you know, focus and how do we flow better and what is confidence and how do we breathe and why is it so important and what are the advantages that the best in the world, what is it that Colin Morikawa is doing? Honestly, if we can sit in a classroom or a discussion format and understand what really goes into being the greatest, while we've been given the permission to have fun and be kids and grow, that's where it happens. That's what it is. And so I hope what I can bring to this team is keeping that love and that fun while merging it in with higher level and letting those things run.
Right. You said something key is that I don't believe, seeing players go through all the different development stages of score and those type of things, that you're right. Why would we change what worked when they were 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? The creativity part of it, the curiosity part of it, and something that Ted mentioned that we all are about is passion. Is if we can make it something that is fun, yet is challenging, because we know flow is about pushing people outside of a comfort zone and enjoying that challenge, enjoying the ups and downs and the struggle, and we're giving them a safe space to push themselves and to fail and to learn and to be curious and there's always that baseline of this is something I enjoy. I'm not saying every time I three putt I enjoy it, everybody, but it's a matter of knowing that there's a framework there. And I really like, Ted, what you said about kind of this unconditional idea. That's lost a lot with some of these junior parents. It's lost a lot even with some of the coaches. I know Hallam and I have started working with, we certified coaches in Flow Code, and they're so attached to what their students' result is that they forget about it. Wait, are they developing as a player? Are they developing the mental, emotional skills to deal with that 80 that they shot in the final round or something like that? That's, to me, is becoming a mentor, is all of us, we want to develop stronger, more resilient, passionate people. We happen to use golf as this awesome way of highlighting it. But, so and this is kind of just an open forum here, but I think when we look at, there is going to be struggle. Yet if we put it in a reframe, as Ted has mentioned, is I can look at struggle as, hey, I get to develop, and I'm going to look at this as something that's going to push me and something that's not going to be judged by if I do shoot 80 and I try something new. My gosh, my parents, my coach. We got to create a safe environment for people to push themselves. And notice I didn't say safe to like protect people. No, it's not about protecting. It's actually about a safe spot to allow people to push themselves and challenge themselves. And again, I think Josh and Ted, you do an excellent job of framing it and reminding that these players, why are you teeing it up in the first place? And I think they sometimes lose that way of that passion and that purpose along the way. And I think us as coaches can remind them of what makes it such a playful, great sport to work with. So I can go on a whole tirade on this.
What I love about this conversation is if we didn't have these backgrounds and we didn't have the name of the podcast, I think people wouldn't know if we were just talking about life in general or golf specifically. And that's something that I know Rick and I connected on so closely was, yes, we want to make better golfers. Of course we do. But we also want to create just better human beings. And everything we're speaking about here, it's skill development for life, not just skill development for golf. And I think that's what's so important when we talk about junior development, when we talk about having fun, being curious, learning from failure, creating a safe space to fail. So not trying to avoid failure, but actually facing adversity and understanding it's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to grow. All of these things, regardless of whether any of the juniors decide to continue with golf into the future, or if they decide to go down all these different avenues, I know something that we're all super passionate about, and I know I can speak for all of us, is that we want to actually help them develop as individuals, not just golfers. And I think that's what's super powerful about everything that you guys are speaking about and that we're trying to build with Flowco Golf Academy junior section is life skills as well as golf skills. And they correlate so closely. So I love it.
Well, and that's, I think the irony is certainly that, the opportunity for us to affect the person across every board is far greater than as a golfer. The math of it is, I don't know what percentage of people play golf and what percentage of those golfers become high school, college, and professionals. Yeah, it's small. It gets weeded down, but the persistence that somebody can develop because we nurture a value system for not giving up at a putting drill so that they could achieve it, that translates into, I didn't give up even though I was the worst in that tournament. It's okay. You had an experience. We reframe the quote unquote poor score as you have now entered the world of competitive. We reward and frame positive experience even in and amongst a failure. And then if they keep going and persist, you're right. Where that's going to help is jobs and relationships and those things. Those are the things that our students and our customers, however you want to you frame those things, that's where the greatest gains are. If it happens to help you at the college golf level and those things, wonderful. Those are almost the bonuses. But you will definitely walk away with a greater understanding of the mental side, so to speak, what goes into being successful at whatever it is that you do in life. And that's the magic of it.
Absolutely. I just, and I think about just my own children. I tell them, I tell them that I'm so thankful that I had golf because we fail more than we succeed a lot, right? Relative to par or tournaments or whatever. And I said that it's really made me, and this is not cheap, it's just not be cheesy, but it's made me a better parent, a better husband. It's allowed me to be able to have the skills to start my own business and to do this and to have the you said, Josh, the persistence, which was great. And just to keep going. And like Rick said, which was feel safe to go for it, basically. Right. And so, there's nobody I care about more in this world than my own children. And I'm trying to teach them these kind of things we're talking about to, the point of everybody. So anyway, that was
right.
Something.
Yeah, no. And I think as we look at, I use the word development a lot with junior golfers, right? It's easy to have goals. I want to win this tournament, stuff like that. That's fantastic. I love goals. I think it helps us focus. I think it motivates us. Yet I think what we've lost with juniors is this word development. And I think parents are a part of that, is that it's all about the next tournament, so on and so forth. And, you know, we've all had those challenging discussions where a player comes to us with, they didn't play well, right? And they didn't reach a goal, and they're, you know, and just a quick story, you know, I was at the US Open, obviously, I'm kind of dating this, but at Brookline. And, you know, Colin Morikawa is the leader after 2 rounds, and he's playing obviously well. And 3rd round did not go well. And he would be the first to tell you that was not a good round of golf. And yet I couldn't be more proud of how he bounced back on Sunday to get himself in contention, which is nice. But to see that smile on his face coming off the 72nd hole, to know that he never did give up, and he could have folded up real quick. And that's what made me the most proud. And I told him that, and I said, hey, you bounce back, you know, and there's a lot on the line, but the person who has their AJGA, there's a lot on the line. I get it. Everybody's putting a lot of their effort and motivation into it, yet things are not always going to go well. And I think when we build daily habits, daily games, daily challenges, that it helps create that resilience. It helps create that, we call it a flow personality, of somebody who can take on these challenges, know that things are going to go sideways, and being able to build on that, right? We're building skill sets on that. And that's why I was so excited when Josh came on board and Ted came on board. And Josh, I want you to tell me just a little bit about, we have a new product out there, a 14-day challenge for junior golfers. And when we talked about this and brainstormed this idea, what in that 14-day challenge are you know, what's the goal of that for a junior golfer?
You know, certainly the 14-day challenge, it's an introduction. You know, there's going to be a lot of people who can come in, and it's a space where you will, for 14 days, we will have it's all lined up and ready to go for you. So there's, it's an introduction into the mental game. We're gonna bring you up to speed on some mental mantras and some various aspects of breathing and focus and visualization, and some of these keywords that go deep into what flow is all about. So there's some introduction to some terms as a familiarity, but then we offer the program in a way where it's really again, because we're trying to walk the walk here, it's about playing games. And so there'll be some putting challenges, some driving range games that you can play. We have an A1 to Z26 challenge where I'm going to challenge you at home to use your mind with a parent or a friend holding you accountable to your successes. We have a scorecard like as if you were playing golf, and you're going to spend 14 days listening to me yap a little bit about some things around flow code and the mental game, while giving you some games and challenges to go experience. And my hope is that, you know, you'll bring some things into your golf game, some creativity, some innovation, some outside the box practice habits that might challenge you to become a better player at a minimum. But at the end of the 14th day, my greatest hope is that you realize, wow, there's a lot to the mental game. There's a lot of stuff here, and that this 14-day challenge is sort of a springboard into a relationship with Flow Code where we can work with you and see how far we can take it.
Yeah, no, and we as a team are so excited, because the key things that you just said, walk the talk, is that, you know, we believe flow is about being fully immersed in the present moment, being passionate about that, pushing ourselves, developing skills and all that stuff. And we know that flow is very state dependent. And what we talked about at the start of this podcast and what we do now is, how do we get somebody in a state of learning and fun? And you did just an unbelievable job with the 14-day challenge to have that be the baseline, and then you're pushing people and you're getting them outside their comfort zone, and like, wow, this is an interesting exercise and tool. And so I'm so excited about that and some of the other product offerings that we're going to have down the road. And I think one thing, you know, as we go develop this idea of flow, is, again, we talk personality and habits. And Ted, I want to kind of put you on the spot a little bit. You tend to work with that 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old who has high aspirations to play college golf. And where do you see, if there was one or two key elements, if we talk mental game or personality styles or something like that, that would be very, very important for that age group to develop as they pursue a big goal?
Great question. I think it's so important that you mentioned it's important to have goals. Absolutely. And when most people think of goals, they think of a result goal. And I'm always promoting to my clients, well, what was your goal for the tournament? And they said, well, I want to finish in the top 10. And I said, okay, great. But what was your process goal? So one of the key elements I feel for that age is making sure you have goals that are actually controllable no matter what you shoot, no matter what the score is, no matter who you're playing with, all those kind of things. So I think process goals for that age group are so important to lock in on. And it's not funny business or made up, stuff. It's like, okay, I want to make sure that my goal is to commit to my ideal state before every shot. If I hit a poor shot, because most juniors, they spend so much energy on the poor shots and no energy on celebrating the good ones. So I want to celebrate the good ones and I want to let go of the ones I don't like. So I think process goals for that age group is so important because of all the things we've talked about, because of the rankings, because their parents, because they're spending this money going to tournaments and everybody's talking about the result. And if that's your only goal, if you're on the fourth hole and you said, my goal is to shoot 72 and you're 3 over, then you feel like, well, what now? But if you have goals that you can do on every shot, and this ties directly into flow code, is if you have mental goal on every shot, 1 or 2 that you can rely on and control, to me, that's a huge thing to keep you going, to keep you persistent, to keep you moving forward, irrespective of what you shoot or where you finish.
Ed, you mentioned earlier that there's no one on this earth that you love more, obviously you care more about than your kids. And that's from a parent perspective. And I think we've touched on parents a little bit, but I'm sure there's tons that will be listening to this episode, probably more so than the juniors actually. So I want to speak to them as well. And I know, Josh, you'll reinforce this and I want you to do a better job with words than I will, but the 14-day challenge can be super valuable for parents too. I mean, we have products obviously for a different age group, the 21-day challenge and various other things in Flowcode Golf Academy, but going through this 14-day challenge with your junior child is a phenomenal experience. Keeping each other accountable, having fun, playful, going back to that childlike mindset that we mentioned so many of us lose touch with, going back to that, keeping each other accountable through the 14 days could be a super experience, because there's going to be many things that we learn in that 14 days that we can learn at any age, to be honest. It doesn't have to just be that 12 to 18 or anyone else. It can be absolutely everyone. So Josh, would love for you to kind of reinforce from the perspective of the creator of the challenge, how this can also be beneficial for parents as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think from that standpoint, certainly anybody who tapped into the 14-day challenge and was a golfer would go through it, coming away with games and challenges and a greater understanding of what flow is and confidence and all the different. So anybody could participate in this by themselves. I think that the cool aspect of the parent-child relationship in this, and again, this is whether it's a 12, 13-year-old, even newer golfer or an elite player, someone who is an elite top-level golfer who is going to jump into this 14-day challenge. There's a bunch in here that will help, give you some really cool information and or start to challenge the way that you think about things, again, leading you to more. If a parent really wants to dive in with their child, like Ted was saying, there's a relationship opportunity here where, and I don't want to go too deep into the non-optimal golf parent, who is also result driven. That's fine. And it's one thing to have a child who is result driven. It's another to have a parent who is result driven, because we know the dynamic of what that can do to children and relationships and how non-productive that can be in a larger scheme, even with best of intentions. That if we've got these 14-day challenges and a parent is listening in with their child, if that's how they want to do it, or following along as they go, you can do it together or separate. If there is a putting game and a parent wants to take their child to the golf course, instead of hounding them about hitting shots, go play a game. Go play a game with your kid. There's going to be 3 or 4 driving range and chipping and putting games where you guys can go out there together and go have fun, seeing if you can develop them things. So my hope would be parents can tap into, this is a relationship opportunity for you to go to the golf course and have fun with your kid specifically, but then maybe in a macro sense to say, wait a second, I think these guys are are telling me something here, and maybe as a parent you can reflect, and we can help lead you in a better parental direction.
Alan, can I?
Of course, Ted, please.
Just to for the parents out there, because I'm dealing with parents all the time, again, in this age group, this high school age group. And one of the most common things I get is, in golf is unlike any other sport, meaning when you go to soccer practice, the coach has the whistle and they have the plan, right? And this is what we're going to do. What's interesting about golf is you're on your own. You might take a lesson once in a while, but there's no really direction between the lessons. And I think this is where the 14-day challenge is really cool, is that there's a structure. And I met with somebody yesterday and they're like, we're just trying to find some structure to help, our son when we drop him, or our daughter when we drop him off at the course. And what better way, the structure's built in, and what better way to engage in something, have a plan for the parents, for the kids, and them knowing that, wow, we've got direction for them when they're on their own. Now, we'll help them be accountable. We'll help them follow up. But this kind of program, it's not out there. So to have that as a litmus test and then get excited about it and then build on the other things down the road that we're going to put together, I think is awesome. And it's a missing piece, quite frankly, in the key word that we're talking about, which is development.
Right. And something that I know we're going to create products for parents. I have 3 kids and I grew up in a very sports-minded household, and there's good and bad about what my parents did. And we have experiences as coaches and as parents and stuff that we've seen what is detrimental to relationships. Now, I didn't say performance. I said relationships is much more important than the performance end. Yet you parents out there, you're going to have no relationship and you're going to affect in a negative way, the performance. So we really will be doing some trainings and some special products for those parents out there. But I want to just go back to, as we finish up here, what Ted said before about kind of that unconditional mentor, that unconditional parent, that is so important. So parents out there, I know you want your kids to do well. I want my kids to do well. I get proud of when they do. I get it. But we want to promote, how did they behave that day? How did they, and you give them that approval of, hey, I'm so proud of how you handled that in there. And hey, you dealt with that rules official in a very, very respectful way. I'm so proud of you. And it was, hey, yeah, it was great. You played really well. I love those birdies. Tell me about those birdies. And, oh, okay, I was a little rough on that. Great. Now you're having a conversation about the experience, not just what did you shoot? And I can't believe you 3-putted the last hole. And oh my gosh, that means the ranking points are not going to be there. And oh my God, we're not going to get a scholarship. Those kids are taking that in like sponges, and sometimes they don't have the capabilities of filtering it. And so that's kind of my last thing that I want to say, is that we as coaches want to develop a safe environment, have fun, learn, be able to push people. But parents, you're one of the most important, have the most important impact on your kids, and you don't realize how they're perceiving some of that. And so that's something that we are very passionate about, that we will go down the road and talk into very detail, because we want parents to have access to be able to know how they should respond to their kids, how they should support, how they, and such. So that's why I'm so proud of what we're putting together. Is, yes, we want to develop junior golfers and we develop better people, but I know the parents can also improve, and they can also develop, and they can also look at things differently, and we can develop better relationships along the way. So I thank you, Josh. I thank you, Ted, for being part of this, because it's going to be very, we're going to make a lot of impact out there. So I thank you for being a part of it.
Absolutely. No, thank you from my side as well. And what an episode. Super excited for all the projects that we have coming up in the future. Thank you all for listening, and we'll catch you on a future episode.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Flow Golf Podcast. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe. And as always, please reach out if you have any feedback or suggestions that we can implement to bring more value to our community. Community plays a huge role in what we do at Flowcode Golf Academy, and we're passionate about creating a group of like-minded coaches and golfers who want to improve their mental game and help others do the same. I'm also excited to announce that Dr. Rick Sessinghaus has launched 2 new masterclasses that you can gain free access to. He's created one for coaches on how to grow your coaching business and another for golfers on how to master your mental game. You can gain free access now by heading to www.flowcode.golf/masterclasses, and we look forward to welcoming you to the Flowcode family.